Lovely. Right, okie dokie. Moving on to item 2 then of tonight's meeting, which is to receive apologies for absence and declarations of interest.
I've received apologies from councillors Fenwick, Hopcroft and Rolfe.
Okey-doke. Any declarations of interest tonight?
None from me.
No, not
No.
for me.
None from me, I don't think.
Lovely. Okie dokie. Item 3, Chairman to receive any matters raised by members. I wasn't aware of anything that was given to me prior to the meeting, so I'm assuming there is nothing for me to respond to on item 3.
No, I had nothing.
Okay.
I have been discussing with Paul around use of our recreational grounds and concerns raised by residents, so I can talk to that.
I mean, I know that you've been talking with Paul with regards to a football team.
Yep.
But when you say concerns around our recreation ground, what?
So it's been raised by a number of residents to myself. I know Katie has had some queries as well, Councillor Gash, just around concerns about the perceived lack of use of our recreational facilities. So I was keen to pass on some of those thoughts and concerns and some of the discussions that I've been having.
Right. Okay.
That'd be good to hear about. See how we can make better use of the facilities, or who's interested. I'd like to hear about that.
Yeah. I mean, I would have been fine, obviously, if I'd have had prior notice of this, Dan. I didn't know anything about this. Like I said, I know that you've been speaking with Paul over a football team using the facilities. I wasn't aware that there'd been any complaints with regards to residents or the lack of use of facilities from the residents.
So I wasn't aware we had to give prior notice for.
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah, it is actually on the agenda, on the summons that's sent to you to be notified 3 days in advance of the meeting. Obviously, right. So that if I can get the full information, and then obviously have a discussion with the councillor who wishes to bring that to my attention.
Would it not be useful if we could have 2 or 3 minutes on the topic, in that if there's nothing else to go through in that section of the meeting?
It's not on the agenda. Paul, didn't you say it was going to be on the agenda? It'd been asked by someone else.
You and Dan asked me. Sorry, am I muted? No, you and Dan asked me, but I didn't hear anything from Dan, so I assumed either you didn't want to talk about it or Dan would contact Becky. As it turns out, Dan apparently did send an email, but it didn't come out of his outbox or something.
Yeah, no, I thought there was an opportunity in chairman's remarks. We always used to have things where there are concerns raised by residents. We had an opportunity to discuss it in the meeting. It's not a decision-making point.
Becky is quite right in that it should be submitted prior to the meeting. But it's up to you.
So that's a process that's changed, because we used to go around the table and ask who's had any comments.
Yeah, it changed because it changed in the process of the fact that it was taking up too much time, and also a lot of the comments were suggestions and also comments that could have been directed and resolved to the office rather than being brought to the table. So it was something that was brought in quite some months back to be more productive of a meeting. If there's an issue that you want to raise, then Dan, I mean, if there's something that you feel that it needs to be dealt with at tonight's meeting, then by all means. But obviously, I don't want it to turn into a full-on frank discussion that's going to obviously take up time within the meeting. But is there a direct issue that you're concerned with at the moment then?
No, it's more positive in terms of what we could do to maybe raise the use of our sporting facilities. That, from my experience as a parent of kids who play football, our sporting grounds are hardly ever used, and lots of parents have been raising concerns about that. So I've just been discussing with other football clubs around what their arrangements are and what we might be able to do to help other youth football clubs and increase the use of facilities in the village.
At the moment, as far as I'm aware, all the football sporting facilities available by the Parish Council are all actually in use this season.
Not all of them.
Well,
We've
no,
got one-
ones
we've
that
got-
can be because of COVID. I know that
We've got
we
one
have
pitch
issues with
isn't being
COVID.
used.
Yeah, you can potentially have more than one team play it, training on a pitch. I'll take it away. I'll do a full proposal for next meeting if it's too difficult. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's worthwhile, myself, you and Paul having a chat with regards to what's been passed on to you from residents and parents, because obviously it's something that's been passed on to you that you wish to be developed on.
Given how
I
limited
just think that
indoor
there's a lot of
activities are,
missing information.
given how limited indoor activities are, it'd be a shame to let another month go by without the opportunity. If there are people wanting to use outdoor facilities, it would be shame to restrict that for another month till the next meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally agree with that, Paul. But there is a process of how people can apply to use our facilities, and that is that they go through the office. That whilst the recreation ground and North Street playing fields is green space, it's not public space free of use, and that the use for sporting facilities is a chargeable use. So, if it is a football team or something like that that is wanting to use the facilities, then obviously their point of call should be through the office, because the office will have a record of what availability there is and what can be done.
Yeah. Well, we don't have I'm not sure we've got a policy or any particular guidance around it. My query is going to be why we would charge a youth team to train on.
Because that youth team is charging parents a subscription, because it's charged through the Football Association, and because we have to pay a rental and we're providing a service. It's always been
Council
charged.
don't charge
It's been charged whether they're youth or whether they're adult for some 20, 30 odd years.
Other parishes locally don't charge for any sporting provision, and their usage is much greater than ours, and it's quite stark if you go to some of the local recreational grounds, how much positive use there is and compared to ours. But I'm quite happy to put that in the paper.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I understand that, Dan, but if you're going to take away the income that's received from something like that, then you're going to be looking at putting a village's precept up to obviously cover those costs, because the whole point of the revenue coming in from those football teams is to pay for such things like the maintenance on the grounds, the grass cutting as such, and everything else. So
we didn't charge the person doing exercise classes. That's a commercial venture, and we didn't charge them to use it. All the local football teams are non-profit organisations.
So
parents pay the precept.
The person doing the exercise class was given a trial period as it was a new business being set up. So they didn't know how much interest they were going to get. They didn't know how busy they were going to be. And so we gave them a 3-month trial on the basis to see whether there would be a lot of interest for that. A fully established football team that's obviously is established and is continuing to go year after year is slightly different.
Yeah, we don't charge dog walkers to use the field. We don't charge.
It's not an activity, Dan. It's not an activity. Everything is not free in life, and unfortunately, that's the way it's been. I don't understand why all of a sudden there is a big onus on the fact that we charge football teams when we've been charging football teams for years. Or is it just this local football team that seems to expect to be free?
No one expects anything. I'm just talking to various clubs. I'm looking at the fact that the utilisation of recreational space in Calcutta and Pangbourne is significantly greater than in Thiel, yet both parishes don't charge junior football clubs to train. You can go down to Calcutta on a Thursday evening. You've got 2 Thiel junior teams practice there for free. You've got a girls team, junior football team practicing. You've got 3 adult teams practicing. You've got a women's adult football team. And you've
had that confirmed from
I
the
go
various
every Thursday.
councils.
I've spoken to.
You have that confirmed from the various councils that they have permission to be there and that they're not being charged.
I've spoken to a lot of the users.
No, not the users, the councils themselves.
I've spoken to a team that is a user of Pangbourne Recreation Ground. They've confirmed that they do not get charged by Pangbourne Council. So I can do some further analysis, but yeah, it's quite stark about the lack of sporting use of our sporting grounds in comparison to other areas.
I don't think you can say lack of use, because we know that they're in use. The difference is obviously you're saying that the use is not correctly distributed with those that want to use it. It goes back to that if they want to use the facilities, then obviously they would be best to be getting in touch with the office so that the office can give them the guidance that they require.
Okay, I will take it offline. It's fine.
Okay. Then being no other matters that I was aware of, we'll move on to item 4, which is to adopt the minutes of the meeting of the Parish Council on the 7th of September and also the 17th of September, and authorise for their signing to be at a later date. You've all received your minutes in advance of the meeting and had a chance to read these. Jan, I am going to pass this item of the agenda over to you, as I know that you did in fact chair the meeting of the 7th. So obviously I will not be able to propose those minutes.
Yeah, I'm happy to propose.
Yeah, I'll second.
Minutes of the 17th of September then, for which was the extraordinary meeting. Can I have a proposer and seconder for those minutes, please?
I'll propose.
Thank you, Lisa.
Can I have an abstain, please, Paul, because I wasn't at the meeting?
Yeah.
I'll second.
I'll second.
All right, for Alan.
Okay.
Yep.
Item 5 on the agenda this evening then is to consider and agree formal representations to the planning applications and appeals received since the last council meeting. The first one is planning application number 20/025/6/OUTMAJ, which is North Lakeside, the Green Thiel. It's section 73A, application for the variation stroke removal of condition 4, which is site Thiel access of the planning permission of the residential development comprising of the erection of 25 dwellings with associated access, parking and landscaping works. The matters to be considered on this were access.
Is this something that we already agreed to before, Becky?
Basically what this is if you look at it, Alan, the application, within the application there was a variation on it on condition number 4, which was all around the access was being taken off through Thiel, and what they're trying, and that it was a condition of the planning application that they did to the condition, and what they're now trying to do is obviously to remove that. It may well be that they're trying to look for a different access point. Councillors have any comments or concerns over that application and the application for the variation removal of condition 4?
No comments from me.
No, nothing
None.
from me.
No? Okay. Enter into a no objection with that one then, Paul, please.
Yeah.
Okay, next one is planning application 20/02069/FUL. This is for 51 Church Street, Thiel. This is a proposed change of use from class A1 to 2 number 2-bedroom residential properties with off-street parking and private amenity space.
Is this
This
where the
you
old
will
doctor's
know
was, isn't it?
as what used to be Caven Beauty Salon on Church Street.
Where the doctors used to be.
Well, we were originally the doctors, yes,
Yeah.
Alan. Yeah. Interestingly, this property is also on the market, being sold as one unit to be turned into one residential dwelling.
I've got no objection to it.
No, they've addressed the concern about the parking.
They've addressed the concern about the parking, yeah. They've obviously addressed the other concern that we had, which was when they wanted to turn it into 3 properties. Obviously, it wouldn't be in
Yeah.
keeping.
Yeah, I can't see any problems with
No.
that. Once they dealt with the parking, it does ease it off a bit.
Mm.
Yeah, so I've got no objections, Becky.
Everyone happy to enter into an objection for this one?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one is 20/02025/FUL. This is for Thiel Logistics Park, Brunel Road. This is the erection of a waste dock, van ramps, a smoking shelter, and associated works.
I've got no objection.
No, that's just
None from me.
that's just facing onto the railway and that, so I don't think that's going to impact on anybody.
Okay.
There was a significant objection from the Environmental Agency. I don't technically know much about flooding, but they said there wasn't a risk assessment done in terms of what was being proposed. I wasn't concerned, say, for the risk assessment needs to be done in terms of flooding.
Any other comments, councillors?
No, none from me.
Any objections on this application?
No.
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 Councillor Baker, would you like the clerk to obviously confirm that we agree with the recommendations being made by the Environmental Agency?
Yeah, maybe just note it in the comments. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, the next one on the agenda is application 20/02179/house. This is for number 6 Landfields Thiel. This is for
Becky, I've got one before that.
Yeah, the
Another
one before is a
another one for
mistake.
North Lakeside.
Yeah, that's the same as the one you've just discussed.
Duplicating.
It is duplicated. I was going to query that. Okay.
So this one is for a side and rear 2-storey extension and garden room at 6 Landfields.
Is this the one that was going to have a house built in the back garden? They've gone on to a 2-storey extension.
No,
No.
you're thinking of Cloister Mews.
No, there was one in Landfield, wasn't there? I think where they were going to build something, and we objected to it, and it.
No, that was
Well,
Church
that-
Street, Alan.
There was one in. I do
There
know
was
the one
one in
you're meaning,
Landfields.
Alan. There was one in Landfields that was going to have a large garage.
Yeah,
Which
they were building
had-
something there, weren't they?
Something, yeah, which had obviously stairs up to the upper level, and they couldn't confirm that it wasn't going to be a dwelling.
That's
But I
it.
don't think that's number 6, because number 6 is further in.
Well, looking at it, it doesn't look like it's obstructing anything or looking on anybody else's house.
No, it looks like it's. I've got no objections to that one.
They've also tried to keep in keeping with the
Yeah.
design, so
The conservation officer objected to it. I didn't necessarily agree with their comments. But yeah, should be aware there is an objection from the conservation officer. I think they said it wasn't in keeping, but a lot of them have had extensions. They're not
they
all
have had
perfect pairs.
extensions, yeah. So I do wonder
it
whether
makes-
the conservation officer is not up to standard with all the
Because the pair that-
other.
Yeah, it also made a comment about others that haven't got 2-storey extensions, but the pair next to it appears to have a 2-storey extension. From what I
Yeah,
can see, with
and the
the
ones
blue garage door.
directly as you enter Landfields have also got extensions as well.
They're all changed in some way or another.
Mm.
Yeah. And there is quite a bit of separation between that and the house on the right, because you've got the driveway going down to the other house.
Yeah.
I noted their objection, but I wasn't too concerned.
Yeah.
Okay. Councillors, do you wish to enter a no objection onto that application?
I do, yes.
Yep.
Yep. No objection from me.
Okay. The next one is application number 20/02029/COMIND. It's in the adjacent parish, but this is for Reading Quarry at Berry Lane, Burfield. They wish to do a development of an energy recovery centre, an adjacent data centre and associated infrastructure. This is being put forward by J Mould Limited.
What do they mean by an energy recovery centre?
An incinerator.
Yes, precisely. They're just going to burn a load of rubbish and charge for it.
Might as well do it on some wasteland next to a motorway, if anywhere.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can see it off the motorway. Now, does anybody want a bloody great pipe up there spewing out muck? That's the problem.
Well, most of
I
these
suppose
modern
the only thing to
incinerators have
consider-
filters on them now.
Yeah, I suppose the only thing to consider is that new development that is directly on the M4. Is it on Dorking Way? It's going to have some 200 odd houses that, if the wind is in the right direction, it is going to come along and affect the houses in Dorking Way.
Mhm.
But I suppose it's no different to Joe Bloggs down the road starting a bonfire when Mrs. Joe Bloggs down the other end has put her washing out on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, but that's going to be
Southcote's closer than the Dorking Way development.
Southcote is closer than the Dorking
Yeah.
Way development, yeah.
Yeah.
It will just depend on wind direction and bits and pieces.
I'd be concerned if it was in Thiel, but given it's that far away, I don't know enough about incinerators and data centres to be that concerned about it.
Any other councillors have any more comments on this?
No.
As a parish, it doesn't impact us, does it?
As a parish, no, it doesn't impact us.
No.
Obviously, we're being asked to make comment as an adjacent parish. I don't know whether it's changed on the West Berkshire portal, but at the time when I looked, I couldn't actually see any comment from the parish, because I'm assuming that this will come under Burfield Parish.
It's been called in.
So it has been called in, has it?
Been called in, yeah.
Okay, so that one will go to the Eastern Area Planning Committee anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Do councillors wish to enter a no objection, or do councillors wish to enter a no comment at this present time until
Aye.
such that this has been passed through and the discussions within the Eastern Area Planning Committee?
Yeah, I think a no comment would probably be better for us.
Yeah.
Rather than to
Agree.
say, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that obviously if you wait until it goes to the Eastern Area Planning, you might actually get more information with regard to this and any effects that it is going to have on us as a parish, and therefore make a more informed decision then.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Lovely. Okie dokie. And I believe there's another one, isn't there?
Yeah, there's another one.
Just trying to open it now.
I've shared the screen.
Oh, have you? Oh, fabulous. Perfect. So this is for application 20/02231/COMIND. This is a change of use from existing dwelling and ancillary buildings, C3 use to education facility with residential accommodation, which will be a mixed C2 and F1 use. This is for the Mile House at Bath Road, Sulhampstead, Reading. application has been put forward for Calcut services for children. This comes under Sulhampstead Parish, but we are the neighbouring parish. Obviously, this is very quite close to our boundary.
From what I read, they weren't making any changes to the actual building itself, were they?
No, from what you read from
Extending
the prospectus, yeah, no external changes. Obviously, they'd be changing the internal for the ground floor and the first floor to be educational, and then the top floor is going to be accommodation.
It's only
a
internal
fairly worthy
changes, isn't
cause
it?
as well.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I don't see we can put any complaints in for that whatsoever. It's,
I mean, the property, I know the property has been on the market for some time, so I think that, you know, if someone can afford to take that on and do something good with that without actually ruining the existing architecture and everything else around it, then good for them. And obviously providing a service for those children that are less fortunate is obviously a good thing to be doing as well. So I didn't have any problems with that plan application whatsoever.
no, I agree.
No, me neither.
I'm good.
Okay,
Yeah.
fabulous. That was all of them, wasn't it, Paul?
Yeah.
Okay, item 6 is to note West Berkshire Council planning decisions for Thiel Parish since the last Parish Council meeting. So we have application, there was the appeal application for 1 and 2 Church Street, Mews Church Street. That appeal has been dismissed. Then we had an application for Total Park Station Road for an application for approval of details reserved by condition 8 of approved planning permission. That was the details of plant, that was approved. The next was for Thiel Logistics at Brunel Road. That was the application for approval of details reserved by condition 25. That was approved. The next was again Total Park Station Road, application for approval of details reserved by condition 11, which was the gas protection measures of the approved application. That was approved. And the next was 25 The High Street, which was application to determine if prior approval was required for a proposed change of use from a shop class A1 to a bakery stroke coffee shop class A3 under schedule 2 part 3. That was deemed to be not required, so they do not require prior approval. So you could quite easily see 25 High Street changing its use.
And there was another one which has just come in, which is the church offices, the Oxford Diocese, and it was that variation of condition 10 of the Breen report. That's been approved.
It's been approved.
It's been approved.
Oh dear. Well, we can only hope that quality of the build will be as good as it can be, really, to be in keeping. And that was that all on the applications, Paul?
Yeah.
Okay, lovely. Moving on to item 7 then, that's to authorise the payments as listed on the payment schedule 559 dated the 5th of October 2020. You should all have received the updated version of that. Do councillors have any issues with any of the items on there or any queries?
No.
No, I was all right with everything.
Okay. Can I have a proposer and seconder to pay the bills as per the payment schedule, please?
To propose.
Councillor Baker proposed.
I'll second.
Councillor Gash is second.
Yep.
Is that a
And can
unanimous decision by all council?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, lovely.
Can we also agree right now which 2 bank signatories will sign off the payments and actually come in and sign this cheque as well.
I can pop in tomorrow after work. So if you leave it out on the desk, I've got keys, so I can pop up and do that tomorrow for you. And I'll do the ones online as soon as you tell me they're ready to go.
Yep.
I can do the ones online as well, Paul.
Yeah, and the cheque as well.
Yep.
Yeah, perfect.
Perfect. Brilliant. Have we had any news back from just regarding signatories, etc.? Have we had any news back from Unity with regards to the additional signatories?
No, it only got sent off last week.
Okay.
So I expect to hear from them soon.
Cool. No news is good news, obviously. Okay. Item number 8, part of the annual review of the council's policies. We are to approve item A, which is the council's complaints procedure 2020. Any comments with regards to the complaints procedure, or happy for the changes of the policy or the review of the policy?
Was this an existing policy or was it?
It was an
brand new one?
existing policy. It's just been brought up. It's just been brought up to date. So it's good practice to obviously review these annually and make any changes if need be. I don't think there
There's
were any
no-
changes added.
No change to the text. It's just
No.
redating.
No, it's just redated.
All
Fine
right,
with
I
me.
have one query.
Yeah.
Section 1.4, complaint will be acknowledged within 10 days. Any reason why we can't knock that back to 5 working days? I think 2 weeks to acknowledge a complaint, slightly lengthy. I'm not saying we've got to give an answer to it, but we could acknowledge it a little bit quicker than 10 working days.
I think we would acknowledge it quicker than that, but it just gives us leeway if there's any issues.
I was going to say, just yeah. I think that's not a term of reference that it doesn't get
It's not an
acknowledged.
SLA,
until
yeah, it's just a
10
bare
working
minimum.
days. It's just a case of it can be anything up to 10 working days before it's acknowledged.
Okay.
So I think it allows for, obviously, if there's any malfunction within emailing technology, or if there is annual leave or sickness or anything like that, I think it just covers that, it's a good time frame. And obviously these guidances are taken from the HAUC website and bits and pieces like that, so it's deemed to be standard practice. Everyone happy then with the complaints procedure to be reviewed and accepted for 2020?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, lovely. Item B is the staffing committee terms of reference 2020. Changes have been made in red. Is that correct?
Yes.
Green.
Yeah.
Depends. Blue for me.
I've tracked
Blue
changes.
for you. Oh, right, sorry.
Only question I would have is I don't recall us stipulating 5 councillors as being the staff committee.
It was on your last one, but I
Yeah.
wonder if you want to change it.
Yeah, so I'm not sure that. I think the way I recall the conversation on the last one, Paul, was that we stipulated a minimum number, but no maximum number, and I think 5 was the number of councillors that landed up on the committee, but I don't think that should have been part of the terms of reference. Because if we've got a hard and fast number, if we don't get 5 people, technically that means we can't have a staff committee in whenever we get round to reassigning the committees and we get to have a parish meeting for those.
Yeah.
So I think we should have a minimum.
Is that based? I mean, is that based on the fact, Paul, that the quorum for the count, obviously the full council is 5.
No, it said 5 on the last.
Oh, it did it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not a
Oh,
change, but I think it was something that slipped through from the conversation last time.
I think it did, because I think we went with a minimum of 3, didn't we? But said that
Yeah.
it would be open-ended to obviously anyone that wanted to join in, because obviously, you know, more heads are better than none, as it were. So I don't think we put an actual limit onto how many councillors could be part of the staffing committee. It was just that there should be a minimum of 3.
I can change it to that if you want.
Is council still happy that a minimum of 3, or do they wish that to be upped now that we do have actually a full council of 11 councillors?
Personally, I think I'd be happy to leave it at 5 with the stipulation that a minimum 3 are at a meeting to make it quorate.
Yeah, I'm happy. No
Sorry,
problem.
Lisa, you're saying a minimum of 5?
I'm saying leave it at 5. There'll be 5 councillors appointed, so that hopefully you've always got your quorate of 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's not actually. There isn't actually 5.
So if we went with 5, Lisa, that means that at the moment our staff committee wouldn't be compliant with our terms of reference.
All right. Well, there was 5 elected at the last annual general meeting, wasn't there?
There wasn't. 2 people stepped down.
So we need to put a line in there. What we do when people step down, then. I wasn't aware 2 people had stepped down.
Is it 2 or is it 1? I can't remember now.
I'm only aware of 1.
Only
I'm
one,
only
then.
aware of 1.
There's 4 of us at the moment, Lisa, which means we're still not quorate.
Right. So how many do you have to have at a staffing committee meeting to make you quorate? Is it 3 or 5?
3.
3.
By our
So
standing orders, it's 3.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I'm suggesting is if you keep it at 5, you've got a reasonable chance of being quorate at all meetings.
No, agreed. Got no problems with more people being on there, Lisa. If we have 5 stipulated in the terms of reference, technically that means that come next May, if we don't get 5 people step forward, that means we don't have a staff committee, because our terms of reference stipulate 5.
All right. And we think achieving 5 on the staffing committee could be an issue next year.
I don't know. It is this year. There's an
It is this year, and it has been for a while. So yeah, I think that, you know, obviously there are at least 3 of us. I think that, like what Paul's saying, is minimum of 3 is quorate, and obviously it's open ended that if other members of council wish to be part of it, then there is no limit to a committee.
All right. The only observation I would make is if you've had 1 resignation this year, I certainly wasn't aware of it, and I wasn't aware that council was made aware that there was a vacancy that could be filled.
Well, there wouldn't be a vacancy until we'd have a parish meeting. So it wouldn't come about until we'd had a parish meeting, Lisa, and of course we haven't had that. So at that point, it's then when the committees are obviously taken into consideration and decision and appointed. So because that parish meeting hasn't happened, then obviously nothing has changed with regards to committees or things like that.
So what I'm saying is then if you have a resignation partway through the year, you cannot co-opt another member onto the staffing committee partway through that year. Is that what we're saying?
Personally, I don't see any reason why we couldn't, Lisa. You know, why we couldn't fill that seat if someone stepped down or disappeared.
That's what I'm saying. So you've had someone step down, but no one's been given the opportunity to fill that space. We've had meetings. We haven't had an annual general meeting, but we have had parish council meetings since then.
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, you're obviously very passionate about that, Lisa. Is it something that obviously you want to be considered for?
I possibly would have been if I'd have known there was a position available, but I'm just saying we've got nothing in this terms of reference that make allowance or give way to that. It just says membership will be. It doesn't say what happens if you receive a resignation off the staffing committee.
I would check what's in our standing orders. And amend the standing orders to allow that to happen for any committee rather than specifically this committee.
Yeah.
Oh, agreed, Paul. If it's not with, it needs to be across the board on all committees.
Yeah.
Paul,
Yeah.
can I, Paul, as in office Paul, can I ask you to look into that to see if there is such thing within standing orders already, and if not, then obviously that will be something that will need to be brought to council next month so that we can agree an amendment within the standing orders.
And just something very, very small, Paul. 1.2D, there's a spelling error on orders.
I know, I've just noticed that and changed it. Yeah.
Okay. So with regards to the changes that are being made with minimum and maximum committee members, and obviously the check-offs that Paul is going to look with regards to standing orders to look at part-year resignations and co-options and bits and pieces like that, councillors happy to adopt the staffing committee terms of reference 2020.
Yeah, I am.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Lovely. Okay, item number 9 is to receive an update on the council's financial, as per the financial regulations 2.2 and 4.8. You will have seen that you've been sent a budget handling report, cost centre report that's dated up to the 1st of October. So you can see where the figures are at the moment.
Becky, I'll hold my hand up. It only came in this morning and I've been flat out at work. I've not had a proper chance to study that at all.
Okay. I mean, literally, it's purely for councillors to have a look to see where we're at the moment. Obviously, we're 6 months into the budget, so you can see where things are being spent and everything else. It's also so that you can have a look and an idea as, with regards to, obviously, we will need to sit down. Councillors are going to need to sit down around sort of, I would say, if at best we can do something January and February, first meeting in January, and then a final meeting in February to finalise the budget for next year, because I believe that has to be in at the end of Feb, is it, Paul?
Well, I think legally the end of March, but I think you'd have to get it in. I'd say beginning of February sometime.
Yeah, we like to get it in early, just so that we're done and dusted.
I think last year you did it on the 27th of January.
Yeah.
I thought it was the end of January.
So yeah, so this is just really, I mean, I had a couple of questions on it, Paul. It was just reference 4003, which is agency staffing. Obviously at the moment that's showing 1,179.8% spent. Now clearly we know that that is down to obviously our locum clerk that we had, but I can see that straight away that we are exceptionally lower on our salaries, which is 4,000. Can you ask Alan if we can transfer the funds required from 4,000 to 4,003 so that makes that percentage and takes away that negative? So because we knew that obviously that was going to be the case, that the locum money would be coming off the salaries because we didn't have a clerk in situ. But obviously at the time when the budget was done, that wasn't the case. So just can you ask Alan for me if there's any benefit to us swapping that over, or you know, for the fact that it looks neater, or does it really matter? Because if it doesn't really matter, then that's fine. It's just at the moment it looks quite horrendous when you look at the percentage for it.
I can ask him, but I can almost guarantee he would say it doesn't really matter.
I think we should leave it, given it was set out as a budget, it should stay there as a budget, and we know why, and we have reasons why. The only other thing that I would do with it is potentially have a second half year budget where we revise it and we move it around, so you've got the original to compare to and the half year. That will depend on the financial guidance from our auditor, but I wouldn't move it in the original budget because that changes what we planned.
It's nothing to be ashamed of.
No. Oh no, absolutely. The other thing I was looking at was 40. Hold on. Bear with me. Remember Yeah, in 103, which is capital, we've got floodlights and Engerfield Road car park. And we've got expenditures for both.
Floodlights will be, we still get billed for it. There's still a little.
Yeah. Is that that's the standing charge, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
The car park is.
Was that for the padlock for the gate?
Yes, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
That was
That's
something
fine.
recent.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Just on page 3, which is income. We're showing very little income from the cricket club. The actual to date is showing only £5, but cricket season's over. Have they not been invoiced, or have they invoiced and not paid?
They haven't been invoiced, but they will be soon.
Yeah.
That's done annually.
Okay.
At
Okay.
least it has been. Yes, they will be.
Okay. The only other thing, obviously, I can see is that there's no figure for junior or senior football. Yeah, I know that we have got football contracts in place.
There've been no games. I think yesterday might have been the first game or couple of games, but otherwise there's been nothing this year.
Okay. So are they not being invoiced for 5 games up front and then each game thereafter?
Well, they should be, but they don't know their fixtures that far in advance.
Right. Okay.
It's a bit of a grey area.
Paul, you can still invoice us for 5 games.
Yeah.
You can still do that, because I was waiting for it to come through actually, but
okay.
You can still do that for us way back in Calcutta and Westwood as well.
Okay, I'll do that tomorrow.
I think that was obviously the previous agreement, because obviously then that secured the use of the pitch for them.
Okay.
Sorry,
I misunderstood.
Because at the end of the day, they know they're going to play at least 10 games. It's just when they're going to play them. Well, you're not. Yeah, no.
At least 5 games.
At least 5 games. Yeah.
Okay.
So. And then the only other thing I had was reference the earmarked reserves. I can see that we've still got an earmarked reserve, which is for Sill Reserve. I was expecting to see that as 0 because I thought that'd been spent.
It will, but I have to wait for Alan on this one. That will go to 0. It has been spent.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. I thought that had been spent. Okay.
Or at least has been allocated to the boiler.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That was all I had. If any other councillors have anything with regards to the figures. No more questions? Any councillors?
Not for me.
No. If councillors could get a chance to obviously have a look at those, have some thoughts on where money's been spent, how the community's been over the last 6 months, and where we see things going forward, sort of whether there's going to be more need for maintenance, more need for bins, things like that, so all that needs to be thought of with regards to obviously looking at the precept for next year. The only thing I would say is if anyone has looked at the figures, you'll see that there is a difference between what we've received and what the actual bid is. We have looked into that, and we have seen that is an error, but that will be justified through that we do have enough funds to obviously build that up, so the precept will be, or the budget will be what it's set. The only thing is that not all of it has come from obviously West Berkshire in the precept, but there's nothing we can do about that now. We can only just make sure that obviously the funds are available to pay what we need to pay. We're just quite lucky that the council does have funds within its bank account to be able to have and make payments like this when such anomalies arise. Okay. If that is everything and no one has any other questions with regards to the council's finance papers, then obviously we will move on to item 10, which is to resolve that the public leaves the meeting. For the remaining items pursuant to the Body's Admissions to Meetings Act 1960, section 1.2.